Good evening and welcome to post-match reaction from Rangers versus Sturm Graz tonight. Another loss for Rangers in Europe. I don't think it's a loss that's going to shock anyone, but we have to go through it bit by bit, sadly. So my name's Ian Mitchell and I'm joined by Tommy tonight. Tommy, just give me your initial raw emotions after that 90 minutes of football.
Obviously not happy, Ian. Not happy with what I watched, not happy with the performance, not happy with the result. Albeit maybe the second half was better, and I'm sure we'll hear that in the presser of Russell Martin about how proud he was of the boys and how much better the second half was and how we'll learn, So, but yeah, overall not good. What was your thoughts?
I wish I could say different. No, it's going to annoy me when the press conference comes out. The game itself, we'll go through it in greater detail, obviously, just now, but it just really irks you, doesn't it? It's not a shock. It's not anything I've seen there that's surprised me. It's not, like I say, it's not something I didn't expect to see, but then you see it again, and in that first half in particular, that's madness. So let's cut to the chase. We'll start with the lineup, of course. It's pretty familiar lineup at this point. Obviously, Majorski drops out for Chermiti. Was there anything in that newsworthy or interesting at all for you? It wasn't a shock to me.
Nah, I think it could have been 50-50, maybe with Rothwell or Barron, maybe. Obviously, he's went with Barron. I feel maybe Rothwell would have been a bit better for that game. But apart from that, yeah, it was pretty much what we expected, really, to be honest.
Laughing at this comment, a better result than I thought.
I saw the first comment bang on 10 o'clock was sack him now. So
yeah, it won't be the last.
Nice and early.
Yes. So Rangers this season in most games have made a very slow start. It took us some time to wake up most weeks. Tonight was no exception. 6 minutes in, the first real moment of the game, and we're 1-0 down. It's our own throw-in. There's a few different points of error here, so we'll try and go through each one by one.
Yeah.
But the decision to throw up the pitch, I think, is okay. That's fine, no big deal there. But Chermiti loses his challenge, which can happen. You're not going to win every challenge against a big defender, but there's probably a few guys you can blame at that point in, whether it's Suter being out of position, whether it's the goalkeeping not being good enough. I'm personally thinking it's guys like McHoma and Asgard who are just standing in the box watching, but I can try and take us through that goal, Tommy.
We were talking about it, and what I think was what Suter was doing at the throw-ins was coming really deep to give Tav another option. The issue with it is that if the ball goes long, you still have Suter deep, so their striker can get an advantage by staying high, and Suter's obviously not marking anybody because he was there to make an option for the pass.
Yep.
Should that, and I'm not really got a view on this, right? But like what you would kind of see from a goal kick is similar. If your defender's coming short for a goal kick, if the goalie decides that he's then going to go long, he would call his defenders to step out and push out because I'm going to go long. Maybe different with a throw in then, but at that moment we decide to throw that long. Should that be a case of saying to Suter before we throw it long, because it didn't feel like it was a quick throw in to catch them out because it was a challenge ball. So should it be a case of saying to Suter, get out because we're going to go long here, and then we don't have that moment where the ball's coming back to us with a guy keeping people on side and out of position as well. Obviously, that wasn't probably the only issue. From then, we've got players in the box that can defend it and don't.
Yep.
And then obviously, I think Butland needs to do a lot better with it as well. Ultimately, the end, I think. But yeah, what did you think? I think like you were kind of thinking maybe McHoma should do a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so many guys you can point the finger at here, and I get the whole like Suter shouldn't be staying so wide for so long, and maybe Tav doesn't good enough. Chermiti could win his challenge, but once that ball breaks in our box, it's not like it's like shot goal. The boy takes a touch, cuts on his right foot, takes another touch, almost going away from goal this whole time, and you've got McHoma, for example, backing off, and there's suddenly a massive gap to let him have the shot. Like, surely McHoma's not marking anyone else. Like, chase him out and try and get right in front of that ball. And it's those little finer details that at this level, and again, I'm saying at this level a little generous because we will play much better teams than Sturm Graz we already have this season, but if you give decent players the chance to shoot and score, they're going to take those chances in the Europa League. And again, Bolton could be doing better. There's many
Well, we
assets.
had three defenders in the box when that guy is about to
Yeah,
shoot, but not any of them are really close to actually block the ball. It's a block from distance rather than being close enough to actually block the shot there and then. That's probably where we need to be closer when the ball is in the box, rather than kind of retreating back a little bit and letting them have the shot.
It's just this same old thing of no one taking that accountability to say, right, he's my man. Might not be your man the whole game, might just be in this one moment while Souttar's out of position, while Tav's taking a throw in, but just take some personal pride that I'm not letting this guy score, and we don't do that. You don't do that. Going forward, there's then a huge save from Jack Butland after 12 minutes. It's not the first time in my notes that I've put huge save from Butland, which
we'll see that a lot,
this match is going to go. But we do then have a decent bit of play of our own for once, where Souttar plays a good switch of play out to Gassama. Gassama, as we all know, is our only hope for anything positive. So he does his thing, gets a good ball across the box, and Chimiti heads it off the bar. I think we're both splitting this one because I think he should score. You're leaning towards unlucky, but how did you see that one?
First of all, the second Butland save that you mentioned there came from us doing the exact same thing as the first goal, which was dropping deep, losing the challenge, and then the ball comes into the box. So it's just, we didn't learn from that, you know. I think that the Chimiti one, I feel he maybe can't get up enough to go down with the header. So the way that his height is that header's going to kind of be in line with where the crossbar is. So it's hard to kind of get that one down. Maybe his height let him down. I think maybe his height allowed him to win the header, but at the same time, it was hard to tower over it and get under it rather than, you know. So I think he was unlucky. I don't necessarily think it's a sitter. You know, I think he probably could score, but again, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a sitter, in my opinion, anyway.
It's one of those ones you pay that money, you expect the net to be
bouncing. For £8 million, it's a sitter, you know.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. Not the boy's fault, obviously, but you know, it is what it is. Moving forward, we have another half chance with Chimiti again. Has that little back heel flick, which is, again, he does kind of all he can do with that one. So a little bit unlucky, I'll give him that. We then have another save from Butland from one of their throw-ins this time. So, you know, it's not our own. That's something. Good save down to his right. And then 34 minutes gone. Chimiti gives a kind of nothing free kick away. We then have a good few minutes to get set up. We are extraordinarily high up the pitch for such a far away free kick. I don't really understand the thinking, knowing we've not got a pacey defence or not exactly trying to hit the counter here. So almost in the blink of an eye, one pass, one shot, and suddenly it's almost game over at 2-0. I don't know how to begin explaining how much of a farce this is, but please try and do it for me.
It was an amateur level goal. I mean, you come down and watch me play on a Sunday, you'll probably see my team concede a goal like that. You know, it really was amateur stuff, and I'm in two minds whether Barron is at fault or not, or if it's just the way that we're set up, because it is hard to kind of track the run when he's coming kind of from that angle. But I think we set up as if the ball is going to come in deep into the back post area. So we are all kind of like back. What I said to you when we were watching the game was that I feel like we should have been flatter across to stop the kind of passing line so that they didn't have that pass in. So then they can't make a run like that. So not everybody is man for man back there. So you just take one man and they mark that space where that ball can't then be passed there. But if you're all like sort of tucked into the box, expecting that box to come in, you leave a massive gap to allow that pass to happen. That's the schoolboy side of it for me, is that the space was left. So again, Barron maybe should have continued his run and maybe been in a position to put him off the shot. But that's what I mean. I'm in two minds. Is it Barron's fault, or is it just the way that we were set up?
See, that's probably the key thing I was going to ask you, because I think it is the big question. Is that, and it's sort of collective, it's not just Barron maybe, but is that the players doing something wrong, or is that Russell Martin setting us up wrong? Because I've had 100 ranting tweets tonight, but it's been kind of mixed between Russell Martin's doing this wrong, but individually players just aren't up to it. And I've said the word accountability already, but it's it should take a leader on the pitch to do that. And I don't know if that's us not having leaders on the pitch, but that's such an easy goal to concede. Like, I don't expect Russell Martin to spend his whole week defending set pieces and setting up lines, but like I say, he's got us at a certain level in terms of how high up on that pitch. And a good footballer, again, go back to it, a good player spots that opportunity, spots that run. And it's a good pass. It's a nice finish, obviously, as you got to give some credit to them. But as I say, whose fault is that for you?
I think what kind of makes my mind up about whose fault it is if I think if we had a solid manager, would we concede a goal like that? If we had a guy that set us up well, would we concede a goal like that, regardless of the players that we had? That's how amateur it was. Like, you can say it's about the players, but yet again, yeah, maybe a leader as well. But I just think a manager that's solid and sets us up, I can never imagine us conceding a goal like that under, the last 4 or 5 managers that we've had. So I would say it is on the manager for me.
Yep. No, it's certainly part of the blame at the very least. The only other thing worth mentioning in the first half is a bit of good play between Asgard, Trimity and Raskin, who then feed into Ant-Man. He gives it back to Raskin and it's a shot over the bar. That's kind of as good as it got for us going forward, other than the Trimity chances. We're going to come on to the second half, which is obviously much better, but you're giving yourself an absolute mountain to climb at half time there. I jotted down some notes and it's all negatives. It's massive holes in the defence. The amount of space they're getting in our box is insane. I'm not doing much up front other than just giving it to Gassama and saying, please do something. But
yeah,
again, I know your thoughts. We've talked about it during the game, but it's just...
Well, when we were watching it during the game, we were saying, sideways, sideways, sideways. Give it to Gassama. Go on, Gassama, do something. Oh, he didn't do something, we've lost the ball. And then repeat. That's the way it's felt. That's the way it's felt all season. Is sideways. Gassama, do something. And that's the hope.
That's the thing. There's a few different guys you can pick out as being not the problem, but part of the problem. I want to say, like, again, Asgard got a lot of sort of negativity after the weekend, and again, he's done nothing tonight. Ant-Man is looking a less confident player every single week. Again, a couple more in there you can list off. But halftime did bring some changes. I think there had to be. It's not a shock. Russell Martin put on Max Aarons and Majowski, and he's took off Mike Homer and Ant-Man. My first note there is that we've then got a striker at right wing, a centre-back at left-back, and a right-back at centre-back. We spent a lot of money this summer. We shouldn't have those 3 options being like an important game here, and that's how you're lined up. But I'm going to say credit where it's due, but I'm really not trying to give this team much credit right now. But we do score quite early in that second half. We just touched on it. Gassama was the only possible hope, and he came up trumps.
It's literally a goal of just full Gassama though. Like, it's not like, it's a long ball into him. He obviously takes that kind of Neymar-esque touch, and from there it's all him. Like, it's not like a 1-2 with somebody. It's not like somebody made a good run for him. Like, it's literally just a one-man team. Like, that's what the goal was. It was better in the second half, of course, but like you were saying about the subs made, Majowski coming on at right wing was weird, because what is he thinking? Oh, extra striker on the park means goals, or because we've been going with Mikey Moore there, or Ant-Man. So why was it Majowski ahead of Mikey Moore? Like, that's what I don't get, because why does he stick with Mikey Moore when Mikey Moore was playing so poor for weeks and weeks and weeks? Drops him, and then all of a sudden it's Majowski coming on when it's not his position. I don't get what goes on in his head to not have Mikey Moore on it. I wouldn't have liked Mikey Moore to come on either, but I don't understand, because Majowski wasn't in the game at all. I can't think of anything Majowski done. So, and at least when Mikey Moore came on, we did see a little bit of driving forward with the ball, but that stuff was a little bit weird. That's what I mean. Is that what is going on in his head? Like, striker equals goal, put 2 strikers on the park, regardless of where they're playing? I don't understand.
I think this comment is quite keen, and by all means keep the comments coming in. They're firing in as I expected, so keep them coming, please. But this comment from Hissy here saying, this fire every attacker on reeks of desperation, and that's just how it looks for me. It's a case of, you might score, you go on and play somewhere. And again, we're saying this with the knowledge that the second half was better, but it's just that desperation. Like, if we play from the start, it's that high intensity, high attacking, get the ball forward quicker, I'd be quite happy. I think we do a lot better than we've been doing. It's just that we end games like that, look pretty threatening, and then start the game after in slow motion again. So,
either way, we're going to concede goals, though. So why not concede goals while at least that they have a chance you're being open and trying to create more?
Yep. A few more notes. Nothing major really in all this. We get another sub where Rothwell comes on for Barron. We get a chance from the free kick where Raskin wins the flick on, and it's actually really good defending to take it off Jermaine's head. So that was a kind of half chance. But yet again, Butland with a big save. Butland with a couple of big saves. It's, as you say, we are causing a bit more threat going forward, but we're wide open at the back. And towards the end of the game especially, it's absolutely that phrase of throwing something at the wall and hoping it sticks. But all the while, yes, we could have scored one, but we could have easily conceded a couple as well. It's just not good to watch right now, is it?
If anything, the chances that kind of we had compared to theirs, or the positions that we got into compared to theirs, they were probably more likely to score than us as well. It's I feel like we did have a bit of momentum after the goal, and then I think they kind of made a sub and kind of slowed us down a bit. But we never kind of keep that momentum up, and we're never in a position where us as kind of fans are thinking, oh, there's a goal coming here. You know, it's coming. Like we're putting all this pressure on. We're creating clear chances. It's only a matter of time before we score. It's like kind of feeling like, oh, we need a bit of luck here to get a chance. We need a bit of luck to get into this position, that position. You know. But I thought we were getting quite a bit of luck. We said as well from Cornelius down the left. Again, it seemed like he got booked, and then Martin's like, oh, well, we need to take him off. He's on a booking. Whereas we were getting kind of joy with him and Gassama down that left as well. So again, the decisions were a bit weird in that regard. I think the subs were a bit weird at times.
Yeah, again, I just can't get away from the fact that it just seems very desperate. And this is a guy who's been so nailed in his philosophy. It's very much we play the right way. We play this short passing. We draw teams on us. And yet he just seems to abandon that as quick as we go a couple of goals down. And don't get me wrong, you have to change something. I get that completely. But surely there has to be a moment where it clicks where, okay, this whatever I'm trying here is not working. I need to do that plan B from the start. And yet we just don't do it. The only other notes I've got, and it's nothing too exciting again, it's more a case of little half chances here and there, a few corners. Again, the corners were poor all night. The free kicks were pretty poor all night. We have Danilo come on to add another striker again, a bit more desperation. You've just then got three centre forwards on the pitch, all kind of bumping into one another, not sure where they should go. Danilo's only involvement is a absolute trickle of a shot after a Mikey Moore run, and that's kind of all we have. And there's a very late penalty check from I think it's a shove on Sutter, but I think the ref was just making sure there wasn't a penalty rather than actually checking anything. And that's that. No, absolutely not. That's two games. No wins, no draws even, and we're pretty much bottom of the Europa League. I thought this before the game. It's one thing getting flung about and getting beaten in the Champions League. You kind of accept that. You know your place there. Europa League has been good to us these last few years. We've been good for the competition. We've certainly held our own. We've won in much better and much stronger venues than Sturm Graz, and yet tonight it's just not good enough, is it? It's, again, I feel like I say this every podcast I'm on, but how can this keep going like this?
Well, yeah, I feel like
I'm setting up the Mick McCarthy one already. Yeah.
Every week we're just saying the same things as well. Like, surely this is the week he goes, you know, and surely this is the last straw. But ultimately, I don't think it will be. But in terms of like where we're at with Europa League, it's concerning because the first two games, you would think any other season, even last season, we're not great under Clement, and we still got to Malmo and we get a 2-0 win. Like, that kind of felt like what that game should have been tonight. Is that kind of game, you know, where we go and we win because we're a better team. Ultimately, we've got better players, and that just shows the state that we're in. To get beat off Genk and then obviously away tonight, they were probably two of the games that you're looking at it when the draw's made, thinking, right, that's an easy start, you know. So we can go into it and then we can hopefully get that good start. Then we're going into Roma at home, and there's not as much pressure when we do play pot one teams. So we're playing Roma, and we're thinking, right, it doesn't matter. Well, not that it necessarily doesn't matter, but if we get beat, it's not the end of the world because we've picked up points already. It's got a feeling that it's going to go to Porto needing something. That's the worry now. The last game's Porto away. and there's no way we're going to be in that game without having qualified. So that is the concern for me now. I think looking ahead to the rest of the campaign is Porto is going to be a game where we need something.
Yeah, because you look at our next run of fixtures, and again, like you say, before the ball was kicked in this Europa League, I thought we'd probably have at least 4 points at this point. A little bit arrogant, but just going off what we've done so far. We go to Brann in Norway next, which, again, seems favourable when the draw was made, but they've won tonight. They've got 3 points on the board, beating Utrecht. We then have that Roma game that you mentioned, and then it's Braga, who we know are no mugs. They got a good win themselves today. And then we're away in Ferencváros, who beat Genk tonight. So suddenly you're looking at this going, well, if we couldn't handle Genk at home, where are points going to start coming from? Because that's you then at match day 6, and you're struggling. And again, no one put massive emphasis on Europe this season. I don't think it was all very much on the domestic stuff and starting at home firstly, which we all want more than anything. But Europe's massive for us. The money that we're losing in losing games can't be understated here. It's what, 800,000 or 500,000 pounds for a win. That's 2 games now. We've lost them both. Not made a penny from them. Not to mention all the tickets not being sold and all that stuff that comes along with it as well. But it keeps getting worse week to week, game to game.
I think
I'm running at once to say bad things right now, which is always fun.
I think from a fan's point of view, and I've obviously seen a few people touch on this, is that like Europe in the last few years has been our enjoyment. It's been our kind of getaway from the bad league performances, and this has been the kind of nights where we can get a bit of enjoyment watching Rangers. We can see a good performance, we can see a good game, and yet at the start of the season, we spoke about like kind of accepting a drop in European performances if it meant taking back that dominance in the league. But now we've lost both. So now we're not a dominant force in Europe anymore. Let's say the first 3 games, I'm pretty sure, are going to be pot 3 and pot 4 teams only. So from there, it's only going to be harder fixtures, because I don't know if they were pot 4 or pot 3, but I think Brann are pot 4 and Genk pot 3 or pot 4. So they should have been the easier fixtures, And like I say, any other year, I think regardless of how we're doing in the league, you even look at Beale when he was struggling, we're still going with Betis at home. So, yeah. I mean...
The players themselves would rise on these nights. That's what's kind of mad to me right now. It's as if the players don't really care either. I don't know if they're checked out. I don't know if it's the tactics and style that are just holding them back, or they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. But like you say, Beale, Gio, Clement, Gerrard, every one of them was solid in Europe. And I don't know if that's then making Russell Martin's like sort of the whole image of him even worse, because we've now got absolutely nothing to hold on to. I think obviously we're doing quite poor at the start of the season. You thought, well, we'll see how he does in Europe. He might have something going from there. Still nothing. And it brings me on to the stat that Opta released tonight, which is now Rangers have gone 22 away games in all competitions without a clean sheet, equaling a club record that stood since Victorian era, which was up to 1897. I mean, that is insane. I thought that was like a parody page at first. It was like,
it's official
from Victorian era. It's actual Opta. It's like TNT then got on top of it as well, going back close to 300 days now since we kept an away clean sheet. In Europe especially, if you can't keep clean sheets, we were never a team in Europe that went away and won like 3-0, 4-0 and battered teams. It was always that solid, hard work, keep a clean sheet and you will grab a goal. Just like tonight, if we keep a clean sheet in the first half, win that game 1-0 with a Gassama goal, that's very Rangers in Europe-esque. And yet that, again, tonight we're 2-0 down before we start getting going, and we're not gonna go from there. Where does that now leave us, Tommy? I don't think anyone's expecting a sacking tomorrow, as much as we'd all probably like that at this point. We're going to trundle into Falkirk, and for me, I think it's that international break where it's finally got to end, surely.
Yeah, but does it only? My issue is, does it only end on the back of a drop point performance? Like,
yeah.
So is he only going to go? Like, I agree with like sacking him into an international break is a good time, especially if we do have a contingency where we have a manager lined up. I don't know if we do or not. Knowing this board, we probably won't, and we'll spend the whole 2 weeks, and we'll go into the next game with a caretaker probably. But Do we have to get beat for him to go, do you think, against Falkirk?
I don't, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, which is a bit mental, like wishful thinking. Your manager gets sacked, but in terms of how toxic and how sort of against him the fans clearly are, my thinking here, and it's purely just sort of a theory that I've kind of developed the last few weeks, is that they had those board meetings after Hearts, and it was a case of, right, you need to improve things. You have to probably win every, if not the vast majority of the games up until the next international break, and then they'll reassess sort of how things are, how the fans feel, how it looks on the pitch, because at that point it was still very early days. This is now another 4 or 5 weeks on from that. Things are not getting any better. I don't think it matters if you do go and beat Falkirk. Even the most convincing of wins, it's still Falkirk. You know what I mean? It can't be like the measuring stick here. And if the fans are going to be booing as they should, really, regardless of how the game goes on Sunday, it won't be a happy fan base. I think that's when we'll strike. Again, it's just wishful thinking. It's probably what I want to happen as much as what I think will happen. But yeah, I don't think they can allow this to carry on.
You think there could be a scenario, let's say hypothetically, we beat Falkirk 4-0 and he still goes?
I do, because what does that do? Like, I don't think a 4-0 win gets us all going, okay, here is what we've been waiting for, because it's such a... Again, I'm not trying to be too disrespectful to Falkirk, but it is probably the worst team in the league in terms of some of the players they've got and what they've been able to spend. Of course, it's all relative, obviously, but
they're better than
win regardless.
They're better than Livy, I think. Falkirk, I would say.
It's hard. Like, is that, you know?
We struggled against Livy, so it's not. Again, we're talking about Falkirk as if it's not a guaranteed 3 points. That's the place that we're in right now. For me, it's not a guaranteed 3 points. We've played Falkirk, like that. That's what I'm just so frustrated at. Is that any other year, any other season, any other era kind of time, we would be going into, rightly arrogant and rightly confident and not being like, no disrespect for Falkirk, this kind of thing. No, we're Rangers, you know what I mean? We should be going to Falkirk and winning, but it just doesn't have that feel to it, that's a banker.
And that's why. That's, like I say, you can go there and win as well as you want, but the fans are completely done. And we've been saying this in the podcast for, it feels like months at this point, but at least a lot of weeks, that the fans have checked out. You're seeing people tweeting about it that have just done completely now. They've stopped going a while ago. The ones that do go just boo the whole game. I don't think there's any hope in hell that we'll suddenly turn around regardless of how one game against Falkirk goes. No. And I think the club in general now need something to change, because, as I say, ticket sales are down, merchandise sales will be down, food sales in the ground will be down, everything is down, the Europa packages are down. You're seeing people just trying to give away tickets and not being able to. That can't carry on, because suddenly, no ownership want to sack the manager because it obviously costs them money. It's 2 or 3 million probably to sack Russell Martin, his coaches and whatnot. But we're close to losing that. Like I touched on it earlier. You lose up to $500,000 a game in the Europa League for not winning. That's 2 games. That's £1 million. The Europa packages are undersold. That's another few millions. It's a good comment from CGN there. It's absolute Groundhog Day. It just came a month early than our usual November stint. Yeah. But
I feel like it's Groundhog Day in the kind of same regards that every time we're coming on the podcast, we're talking about poor performances.
Yeah.
And it's Groundhog Day in the way that, we're coming into Halloween wanting to sack a manager. So when does it end? I don't know. When do we kind of become a force that is dominant again? Like, what needs to happen? Like, every year it's how we need new players, we need a new manager, we need a rebuild, we need this, we need that. When is it going to happen though?
Absolutely. No. And this is the thing, look to Falkirk, and we won't have another podcast before Sunday night now, so we may as well touch on what we do in that Falkirk game. I know no one really cares right now. Like, everyone's just angry. But do you think it's that same 11 that trundles their way across to Falkirk on Sunday?
I don't know. I don't know, because what we're seeing today is just like we start the way that he wants to start. It's not working. We go into the second half and we tweak it. Yeah, again, it's very reactionary. So I might have the same feel it, where we just line up the same way that we always line up. Same players that normally play. Go 1-0 down and then panic. Is that the way it's going to be again? I don't know. I don't know what fixes it. A new manager fixes it, in my opinion. But I don't know what he I don't know what he has to do in regards to just getting these players playing. I have no idea. What do you think needs to happen?
I don't think there is a way he can. I don't know if it's his coaching style. I don't know if it's what he's trying to get across to them. I don't know if the players just don't respect what he's saying. And that wouldn't shock me because I don't think we've got the perfect squad there in terms of, leadership and characters and guys that will fight for you. I don't think that exists at the club just now. So I don't think a manager suddenly comes in and it's all rosy. Some guy, regardless of who it is, it could be the best manager in the world. I think there's still so many problems in the playing squad, let alone, what they've been coached and what they've been trying to do. Because, people say it, and I do agree, there's some good players in there. I think I'll sort of die on that hill. There's some good footballers, and they're certainly better than what we play most weeks. They just don't play either for Russell Martin or Russell Martin can't play with them kind of thing. And there's a comment there about Finlay Curtis who's not got a look in. Guys like Jigger haven't got a look in for weeks. Max Aarons has just been drafted back in because he scored a goal. There's just so much desperation all over the place. And yeah, that's like I say, I think he's lost his own identity, much as hitting Russell Martin at this point.
I think a lot of people are starting to get fed up with Suter now. So maybe Sunday could be like a Cornelius and the Jigger kind of centre back pairing. I don't know. Would that work?
I don't know. The thing is, we don't see these different combinations, don't see anything new. He seems to have got a side that he's happy with, albeit he still don't deliver on the pitch. It's the same guys.
He's said good things about Suter, so I think he likes Suter and he's going to persist with Suter no matter what. That's what I think. Because we get two guys, we buy three centre backs, don't we? And we're still sticking with Suter, so he obviously likes him. And we said as well when watching the game, when you watch Suter for Scotland, I kind of think great player, because the way that Scotland play, it suits that kind of, you need to go and head of the ball, you need to be aggressive, but in this Rangers team, I just don't think he suits being in this team. Whereas if like you said, I think when we were talking, if he went to the Championship, probably be a very good Championship player, probably be very solid, but just don't think it works for Rangers. And I think he's had his time. We've had plenty of time with him, and I think that the time is now to go with Cornelius and the Jigger and give that a go.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can probably make this argument in two different areas. Like, Asgard shouldn't be getting starts the way he's been playing. McComa has been really poor the last few weeks, and again, you don't want to start singling out every player, but Ant-Man has had his problems. There's so many different parts, and that's why I think you can't sack a squad of players. You have to sack the guy that's leading the players. And I think we've all been. I was one of the last ones to turn and think Russell Martin must go, but it's absolutely unanimous at this point. We'll try and wrap it up there. Again, it's not been the most enjoyable pod again, but we should be used to that by this point. But thanks to those that have stuck with us. Again, any like, subscribe, it's always welcome. We'll be back on Sunday night after that Falkirk game. God knows how we'll be feeling then, but we'll see you all there. Thanks again for your time. Cheers.